So that brings us to the top storyline of 2023.
Okay.
What do you got for your top storyline?
Well, specifically, I am going with the Sami Zayn end of the Bloodline storyline. It's kind of fizzled out over the past half year. But what they did in the first half of the year was spectacular. From them building up him as being completely in line, in league, full in with being the Bloodline.
Subscribe
to his turn a little bit before WrestleMania to main eventing night one of WrestleMania against the Usos, winning tag team titles. Best thing all year.
Okay.
After that, again, the Bloodline storyline petered out. But if you're talking like the best thing, in my view, that we saw as far as finishing the story,
okay,
I'm going with that.
Can't argue that one. What do you got, El Jefe?
Well, mine, it's because it was real life. It wasn't just a professional wrestling angle. It was something we saw play out that impacted a lot of people, specifically one person in particular. And that was CM Punk's whole saga between AEW and getting fired, to the whole speculation that he was coming back to WWE, and them hiding the fact that he was there at Survivor Series so well that everyone was still shocked and surprised when he came out from behind that curtain. It was perfectly done on WWE's part to get him back into the company, to get people hyped up for that, to get people just interested in what they were doing with that. So for me, CM Punk, just the whole saga ever since he got fired, I thought that was the best storyline in professional wrestling because it was real.
How many bottles in celebration of Malort do you think were drank in the Second City that night?
Oh,
Shortage.
A lot. They probably had the special Thanksgiving version.
They ran out of Malort, so they were just drinking puddles of water from outside.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. I heard they also have a tap at the local gym where people throw their clothes into. When it drips sweat down, and they ferment it in the hot Chicago sun during the summer, and then they put it on tap at the local brew houses.
That's crazy.
That's
but I believe it. That's something they would do.
I like those. Those are both really good storylines, fellas. Mm-hmm. Nicole said that the Seth Rollins run as World Heavyweight Champion has been her favorite run. Because Seth Rollins has gone out there anytime, any place, and been World Heavyweight Champion. And his character work as a visionary has been really good this year, and he's really stepped up as the MVP of WWE. And I'm going with LA Knight. The resurrection of Max Dupree to LA Knight, like Jay said, and like Jeff said, and like everybody else knows. The man went against Bray Wyatt at the beginning of the year at the Royal Rumble in Jay's favorite match of the year, the Pitch Black match.
Yes.
Overcame that loss, basically getting squashed, and was main eventing the Saudi Arabia show with Roman Reigns. You gotta take that into consideration. Yes, he could have been worthy of Wrestler of the Year. I figured storyline was a safe bet because I just loved where he was to where he is now, and now he's going to be lined up for a feud with AJ Styles. That's what it looks like, at least heading into the beginning part of 2024.
I dig that.
What was your favorite pay-per-view / premium live event?
It came late in the year, but everything they did with the execution of Survivor Series, the matches were on point, the storylines were on point, and the way they teased with Randy Orton coming out, and then the cherry on top, as much as I think it's a bad idea in the long run, to bring CM Punk back, because I think he's going to, he enjoys incinerating whatever bridges are built, because I think he'll probably incinerate the bridge he's built again. And again. But as a pure wrestling fan, and what Triple H said after the or during the press conference about whether you like him or hate him, you talk about him. I'm not the biggest fan of Phil Brooks. I do enjoy CM Punk as an entertainer, as a professional wrestler. So when I see him out there, and just hearing a crowd light up like that.
Yeah.
Like Survivor Series was it. WrestleMania night 1, if you would have broken WrestleMania in half, like night 2 was pretty good, but there were a couple of things that weren't great about it. Clearly, Cena on night 1 was not great, but everything else about night 1 was pretty damn incredible.
CJ, that's why I went with night 1 of WrestleMania, because we had 2 incredible classics that we're always going to remember. Yeah. That women's title match and the Triple Threat Intercontinental title match. Just incredible stuff. Great match.
And even the tag team title match, which main evented.
Yeah. No, exactly. And, I think the only hiccup was the Cena match. And you can even call it that. But,
Logan Paul that night.
What?
Logan Paul.
He was good too.
Him and Rollins was awesome.
Yeah, dude. That really made me realize Omos can legitimately do this.
Lesnar and Omos over-delivered, in my view.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I thought that was going to suck ass, and it was great. I think it was Brock Lesnar.
I once he F5 Omos, if he could get him up and F5 him no matter what anybody said, the match was not going to be the worst match of the card.
Exactly.
Just luckily for us, John Cena was there to deliver the worst match of them.
And that was I know we dunked on Vince McMahon earlier. That was his last hurrah. I truly believe that. I think that was Vince McMahon's final. That was the last thing he had in the tank, and he delivered on night 1 of WrestleMania. Night 2, like you said, lacking a little bit more. Wasn't a bad show. Wasn't the best show ever. But night 1 of WrestleMania this year is what WrestleMania is all about. Is putting on the best matches, best storyline blow-offs you possibly can have, and they did that this year.
I agree.
And Chris Brown and Tim agreeing with you, El Jefe, night 1 of WrestleMania.
The wife and I went with Backlash in Puerto Rico.
Oh, I mean, that was off the chain, too.
I love that card.
That was my second.
Damian Priest and Bad Bunny was getting a lot of consideration for my match of the year, just because of the fact that the electricity in that arena when the match was going on, the fact that Bad Bunny went in there and you could have fooled me that he was a musician and not a professional wrestler, because
good.
He's better than 90% of the guys in AEW.
He's great. I don't get it. Like, he is so good. Like, he would be a professional wrestler if he wasn't one of the biggest artists on the planet.
Yeah.
He is so good at it.
The man just topped Spotify, I think, for like the second or third straight year as far as most listens.
You know what's crazy? Like, him being in the ring, guess what? It fucking worked. I listen to his music now. I don't understand a word he's saying, but I listen to it because it's awesome, because he's awesome.
And he doesn't have to do professional wrestling.
No, he doesn't have to do it. He is such a star. He does not need to do this. And he does it anyway because he loves it. He has a passion for it. He's a passion for entertaining. He has a passion for professional wrestling. He's from Puerto Rico. It's huge there. So he's the reason they got Backlash to Puerto Rico. And when he came out to Shambea, it's very rare to see a crowd that hyped, for sure.
All the matches were great. That crowd was electric. And like I said before on the podcast, I literally popped out of my seat when Carlito's music hit, because I wasn't expecting it. Seeing him and Savio Vega, all those guys, I just thought that they did such a great job with the presentation and just the way that they promoted Selena Vega and let her have a meaningful match instead of getting squashed.
You could tell how much that meant to her.
And what you're saying there are a lot of parallels to what happened at Survivor Series, but for the Puerto Rican audience. You bring out Savio Vega, Randy Orton,
right?
But then you bring out the returning Carlito, the CM Punk,
and
for that.
That
and
Carlito,
it just took a crowd that was already at 11 and put them to 15.
I mean, that crowd was going to love the thing no matter what because they were happy just to have it.
right?
And then they just deliver. I mean, they hit a home run with that show. That was great. I wish they do it every year there.
And you had that great match with Brock and Cody there.
Yep.
You had, the underdog Zelina going against Rhea
and she looked competitive.
Yeah.
If they had brought her in there and had her lose a squash match in Puerto Rico after all the other shit that they've done, firing her over something stupid, kicking her match off in the 9/11 show because they ran out of time, they gave her her moment and she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
So for me, that all played a big role in the reason why I picked Backlash. And it says a lot because I could have went with Survivor Series just like you, Jay, but I just, that crowd, that moment, just everything, and Bad Bunny just showing up the way he did was just too good to pass up.
Oh, good.
Tim in the chat says, I want Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul for a WrestleMania match.
Fuck yeah.
I know.
And I want Bad Bunny to beat the shit out of him with a kendo stick. It'd be fucking great. He's the only Cleveland person I'll never claim.